Hi, I'm Yvonne of Pree Designs. Today I'm going to show you how to make this cute cupcake card using a frosting technique for the die cut frosting that's popped up on the front of the card with dimensionals. I'm going to use this sweet cupcake stamp set. It's a great stamp set. It features a selection of words to go inside and on the front of your card, and then it's got two sets of the 3-step stamps to make your paper for your cupcake and also the icing for your cupcake. The first colour I'm going to use for the first stamp is Blushing Bride, and I'm actually stamping in a different order than recommended on the actual packaging. I'm stamping the third stamp first, then I'll do the second, and then I'll do what Stamping Up have numbered as number 1 as my last stamp. So the Blushing Bride, I'm just going to stamp on top of a paper piercing mat just to get the best stamped image. That's my Blushing Bride. Then I'm going to stamp in Sweet Sugar Plum, stamp number 2. Just line that up over the top. And then the third colour is going to be Melon Mambo. And this just has the highlights of the icing. Now I'm going to bring in the cupcake cutout framelets, and I'm actually going to use the frosting framelit to cut around the frosting using my Big Shot. But to save time, I have already done that. And it gives a nice little white border around your image, around your stamped image. And now I'm actually going to frost the icing. Now to do that, I'm going to use multi-purpose glue. Going to add a generous amount of our Tombow or multi-purpose glue onto the Melon Mambo sections of my stamped image, and as you can see, I'm being very generous with the glue. Then I'm just going to put my work on top of a piece of scrap, and I'm going to put my frosting over it. Now the frosting is made up of clear embossing powder and our Stampin' Up! Dazzling Diamonds, and I've just made it a mix of 1 teaspoon of the clear embossing powder and 1 teaspoon of the Dazzling Diamonds. Put it into an empty pot and mixed it around, and then I'm sprinkling that over my stamped image, tipping off the excess, and then I'm going to heat that with my heat tool. And you can see that that has made it bubble, and it set the embossing powder and Dazzling Diamond mix into the glue to now stamp the cupcake paper. And I'm going to stamp that on Whisper White, which I've previously cut using the Big Shot and our square overlay framelits. I've used the third largest scallop square to cut that out, and then as a backing I've used the largest plain square, and I've cut that out in Blushing Bride. So now I'm going to stamp our paper. I'm going to use 2 different colours. I'm going to use Chocolate Chip and also Crumb Cake. And we've again got a 3-stamp layering effect of the cupcake paper. I'm actually going to stamp the second stamp first, simply because I want placement in the center of my square and towards the bottom, and I'm inking that up, but then I'm stamping it off. I don't want the full strength of color, and just stamping that quite close to the lower edge but in the center of the square. Then I'm inking up the second part, which is actually numbered number 1. That gives it a nice depth of colour. And then the third stamp that I'm using is stamping it in crumb cake and stamping over the top to give it the completed cupcake paper finish. And there's my cupcake paper. I'm going to assemble the square, and you can see that I used a piece that didn't work out the first time. Okay, that's my square. Then I brought in a piece of our Sweet Sugar Plum Designer Series paper, stack paper, double-sided, but I want to use the polka dots, and I'm just adhering that with a little bit of fast fuse onto my mat. The Designer Series paper is 13.8 centimetres by 4.5 centimetres, and then the mat is half a centimetre bigger than that, which is 14.3 by 5. I've already pre-stamped my little banner, which is this one. That also, the die comes in the cupcake cutouts, and it comes with little score lines as well when you put it through your Big Shot, so that you can fold that back to make the banner. Simply sponged around the edge with a little bit of the Blushing Bride ink. That's that. And then I've also prepared the swirls out of the cupcake framelit. My card base is a piece of Sweet Sugar Plum. It's an A4 sheet cut in half at 10.5 in a portrait orientation. So now I'm just going to layer all my card elements onto my card front using my fast fuse. And then some dimensionals on the back of my cupcake paper piece. Just release the papers by poking your fingernail into the centre. Makes it a little bit easier to get those papers off. Place that into the centre. And then my Happy Birthday banner and my cupcake feature piece, or my frosting feature piece. Cupcake is just going to go on with a couple of dimensionals, which I've put directly onto the square because I don't want to press too heavily on my frosting. A couple of dimensionals on the back of my little banner. Bring that into the front. And then I'm just going to use a fine tip glue just to put a couple of dobs of glue on the back of my swirly bit. Okay, and place it on the card front. And I'll just trim off those excess little pieces with a pair of scissors. And then I've simply got to wait for that to dry completely and finish off with a card insert and an envelope. Now just to finish off my envelope and my card insert, I've just inked up the stamp once but stamped 3 times to give a variation of colour, and then I would just pop the insert in the inside of the card. Thanks for watching, hope you've enjoyed, and hope you'll come back and visit again.